My name is Sarah, and I'm about to tell you how a car dealership's greed led to the most satisfying legal revenge I've ever witnessed, because I was the one who pulled it off. Picture this. You walk into a dealership, excited about your new car. You sign the papers, drive off the lot, and exactly 31 days later, you watch through your living room window as a tow truck hauls away the vehicle you thought was yours. That's exactly what happened to me with Henderson Auto in Lima, Ohio. If you've ever felt that burning desire for justice when someone powerful tries to crush the little guy, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit like, because you're about to witness a masterclass in turning the tables. Let's dive into how I went from victim to victor in the most unexpected way possible. It started on what should have been one of the happiest days of my life. After months of saving, I finally had enough for a down payment on a reliable car. Henderson Auto seemed legitimate enough. They had a big lot, shiny cars, and sales representatives in crisp shirts who spoke with confidence about financing options. The salesman, Derek, was all smiles as he walked me through the paperwork. "Don't worry about the fine print," he said, his pen tapping against the contract. "We've been in business since 2012. We know what we're doing." I should have paid attention to that dismissive attitude, but I was too focused on finally having reliable transportation. The car was perfect, a silver sedan that started every morning without fail. For 31 glorious days, I drove to work, ran errands, and felt like a responsible adult who had made a smart financial decision. I made my payment on time, kept the car clean, and even bought one of those little air fresheners shaped like a pine tree. Then came the morning that changed everything. I was getting ready for work when I heard the rumble of a diesel engine outside. Through my blinds, I watched in horror as a tow truck backed up to my car. The driver, a burly man in overalls, was already hooking chains to my vehicle. I ran outside in my pajamas, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Excuse me, that's my car." The driver barely looked up. "Not according to this repossession order, lady. Henderson Auto wants it back." But I made my payment. "I have the receipt." He shrugged and continued working. "Take it up with them. I just follow orders." I stood there on my front lawn, watching my car, my freedom, my independence, disappear down the street. Neighbors peered through their windows, and I felt a flush of humiliation creep up my neck. I had never felt so powerless in my entire life. The phone call to Henderson Auto was a nightmare. Derek, the same salesman who had been so friendly a month earlier, now spoke to me like I was an inconvenience. "Sarah, I'm looking at your file here. Says you missed a payment." "That's impossible. I can email you the bank confirmation right now." "Well, the system shows what it shows. Besides, you violated the terms by not maintaining proper insurance coverage." My blood pressure spiked. "I have full coverage. I can prove that too. Look, these things happen. If you want the car back, you'll need to pay the full balance plus repo fees. That's about $8,000. $8,000. For a car I had legally purchased and properly maintained. The worst part? Derek's tone suggested this was just business as usual for them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation, the dismissive way Derek had spoken to me, the casual cruelty of taking someone's transportation without warning. I felt like David facing Goliath, except David didn't have a slingshot. He had student loans and a modest savings account. But then something shifted inside me. Maybe it was the injustice of it all, or maybe it was the realization that if I didn't fight back, this would happen to someone else next month. I decided to explore my legal options, not because I expected to win, but because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try. I started researching Henderson Auto, diving deep into public records and business filings. What I discovered made my hands shake with excitement. These people, who had operated so confidently for over a decade, who treated customers like disposable income sources, had made a crucial mistake. Henderson Auto had failed to renew their business name registration with the Ohio Secretary of State. Let me repeat that. The company that had just stolen my car because of alleged paperwork issues had forgotten to file their own paperwork. Their business name registration had expired, making it available for anyone to claim. I sat in front of my computer at 2 a.m., staring at the Ohio Secretary of State website. The registration form was right there, waiting to be filled out. My cursor hovered over the business name field. Henderson Auto was available. The irony was so perfect it felt like the universe was offering me a gift. These people made their living by exploiting legal technicalities and fine print. They had dismissed me as just another customer who couldn't fight back. Well, two could play that game. I filed the registration that night. For a modest fee, I became the legal owner of the name Henderson Auto in the state of Ohio. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer who specialized in business disputes. When I explained what I had done, she actually laughed out loud. "That's brilliant," she said. "And completely legal. They can't use a business name they don't own." We drafted a cease-and-desist letter that was a thing of beauty. Professional, legally airtight, and absolutely devastating. The letter informed the dealership that they were illegally using a business name that I now owned, and they needed to stop immediately or face legal consequences. I hand-delivered that letter myself. Walking into Henderson Auto with that document felt like wielding Excalibur. The receptionist looked confused when I asked to speak with Derek, and even more confused when I handed her the official-looking envelope. "What's this about?" she asked. "Just make sure Derek gets this today. It's important business correspondence." I drove away feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The real satisfaction, though, came 3 days later when my phone rang. "Sarah, this is Derek from Henderson. This is Derek. We need to talk." Gone was the dismissive tone. Derek sounded like a man who had just realized he was standing in quicksand. "This letter you sent, our lawyers say you actually own our business name now?" "That's correct," I said, savoring every word. "The same way your system showed I missed a payment that I actually made." There was a long pause. "Look, maybe we can work something out. About your car situation." "Oh, you mean the car you illegally repossessed? The one that cost me $8,000 to get back, plus the humiliation of having it towed from my own driveway. We might have made an error in your case." An error. After a month of treating me like a liar and a deadbeat, it was suddenly just an error. Here's where the story gets even better. Remember that comment about how Henderson Auto was very happy? Well, it turns out they had quite a reputation in Lima's legal community. Court records showed dozens of cases where they had aggressively pursued customers over disputed payments and contract violations. But now the tables had turned. They couldn't operate under their established business name without my permission. Their signs, their website, their reputation, everything was tied to a name they no longer legally owned. Every day they continued operating was a violation of my intellectual property rights. The negotiations that followed were a masterpiece of role reversal. Suddenly, Derek was the one making desperate phone calls. Suddenly, Henderson Auto was the one scrambling to find a legal solution to paperwork problems. My lawyer was having the time of her life. "They want to buy the name back," she told me during one of our meetings. "But they also know you have them over a barrel. Any price you name, they'll probably pay." But money wasn't really what I wanted. What I wanted was acknowledgement, recognition that what they had done to me was wrong, and assurance that they wouldn't do it to someone else. The final settlement was sweeter than I had ever imagined. Not only did I get my car back with all fees waived, but Henderson Auto had to pay damages for the illegal repossession. They agreed to review their practices and implement clearer communication with customers about payment disputes. And yes, I sold them back their business name, for a price that more than compensated me for the month of stress, the humiliation, and the hours I had spent fighting their bureaucracy. The best part came 6 months later when I drove past their lot. There was a new sign, Henderson Auto, under new management. Apparently, the whole ordeal had triggered a deeper investigation into their business practices, and the original owners had decided to sell rather than face the mounting legal challenges. Derek was nowhere to be found. I heard through the grapevine that he had moved on to pursue other opportunities, which is corporate speak for got fired. As I reflect on this whole experience, I realize it taught me something profound about power and justice. Sometimes the people who seem untouchable have made themselves vulnerable in ways they don't even realize. Sometimes the very systems they use to exploit others can be turned against them. Henderson Auto thought they were dealing with just another customer who would roll over and accept their mistreatment. They were wrong. Dead wrong. The moral of this story isn't about revenge. It's about standing up for yourself when the system fails you. It's about doing your homework, understanding your rights, and never accepting someone else's word that you're powerless. So here's my question for you. What's the most satisfying moment of justice you've ever witnessed? Drop it in the comments below, smash that like button if this story gave you that sweet taste of vindication, and subscribe for more letters to Ray. Because sometimes, the best revenge is simply holding people accountable for their own mistakes. Trust me, there are more stories where this came from. Until next time, remember, karma might take its time, but it never forgets an address.